Hello, everyone. It's Claire Powell. Thanks for joining us today. We will begin in about 2 to 3 minutes time, just giving everybody a chance to join us, at which point I will share the screen and the PowerPoint to get us started. So please sit back and relax for a little while, and I will speak to you shortly. Thanks. All right. I see that we have 8 people with us, but in interest of everybody's time, I'm going to get started. If each of you has the chat function at all, you can type in, if you could let me know that if you hear me and you can see the screen correctly, that would be greatly appreciated, just so that I know that everybody's on the same page and we're not going a bit crazy. Okay. So going further, I'm going to share the screen with you. If you do not see the screen, it has the Common App ready PowerPoint. Let me know. I don't want to have anybody stopped and unable to see it. So that would be great. Okay. Thanks, so you can see what you just said. Appreciate the feedback. Okay, so let's get going. After today's presentation, what I will do is share with you the handout that I have that is more South Africa specific. So to answer your questions about, should I be putting my GPA? Should I be putting in my class rank and all that information? We'll go through that as we go along. Okay. So let us get started. Okay. So as you know, the Common App is probably going to be one of the more vital pieces of your application. It will include all the information about your school, about you as an individual, about your family, and so on and so forth. I would say about 700 of the universities and colleges in the United States share this platform, the Common App, but of course it doesn't mean that all of them do. The likes of Georgetown, MIT, they have their own application, unfortunately, and it's just the nature of the game, but it's still, at least you won't be filling out 10 different applications, maybe 2, 3 at the most. So it does save you quite a bit of time. If you're lucky, if you're applying to all holistic universities, then you just have one platform that you really need to deal with. Besides Common App, there are 2 others. So the Coalition and the Universal application, and you can use those. They're beneficial if all your universities are on them as well. However, the Common App is the more widely accepted one. So just to be mindful and not create extra work for yourself, because you guys are under pressure as it is over the next few months. So moving along, what we're going to speak about is completing the application and the agenda. What I will say to most of you is well done, and thank you for sharing your applications with me. I see that most of you have added me as an advisor so that I can check and see what's going on with your applications as you go through. If you haven't, hopefully today we can speak a little bit more about how you can add me as an advisor so that I can just check your progress as we go. Without having to use your logins necessarily. I want to try and refrain from using your logins for Common App unless I'm doing it with you in person. Okay. So we're going to speak about some layouts and features, the profile section, the family section, education section, the testing, and what that entails, not only with your matric exams, but also with regards to the SAT or ACT, whichever is relevant to you, the activity section, what should go in there, and then, of course, the writing section, which tends to entail your Common App essay, college essay. All right. So a little bit more about the layout and the features and navigating the application. Hopefully this will be a breeze. I don't want to say it is completely a breeze or is easy, but thankfully Common App hasn't really changed too much on the application in the last 2 years, which is great considering when I first started this role, I felt like every year they were doing massive changes. Okay, so moving along. You will see here that you'll have, once you've created your accounts, you will have 4, if not 5 tabs on the top of your screen. The 5th tab does have to do with financial aid, but that's not something that we're really going to concentrate on just yet. What we're going to concentrate on is your Common App and then adding your universities to the application. Okay. So you'll see here, the Common App tab is where you will complete the main sections of your application, which include your general biographical profile, your family information, the education, testing, activities, and writing. And as you will see, as we go along, there will be instructions that you'll be able to see on the right-hand side of your screen. And as you can see, just below the title of profile, you'll see a little play button that says View Profile Tutorial. What you can do is, much like we are doing today, if you wanted to, you could watch someone going through the section live, and what they would input there with some tips and advice. Okay. So as you can see, some general biographical information, contact information, demographics, where you live, your languages, and so on and so forth. But anything you are not sure of, there are always instructions and help on the right-hand side. If you are still not sure, that is why you have me to ask questions of. Okay. All right, so someone says they just see the first screen. Is everybody not seeing me move along? Actually, you're right, I only see it moving along. All right, what I'm going to do is share my whole main screen because I can actually see what you are seeing right now. Let me see if that will work. Okay. This is why I have you guys with your tips and advice. It does help quite a bit. Okay, I'm going to move back to the presentation. Let me know. All right. I'm not necessarily seeing anything different. Are you all now seeing what it should be titled the profile section? Perfect. All right. So moving into the profile section, you'll see some quotes directly from some of the members of the Common App board or membership in terms of what they have quotes, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So the profile section is one of the most critically important areas of the application, as it provides us with the basic essentials of contact and personal information. Your name, phone number, email address are our only avenues to contact you directly. So any errors here could result in our inability to reach you with important updates, potentially even your acceptance letter. I would even go as far as to say, if they feel like there's something missing from your application and they want you to provide more information, what will end up happening is, if stuff is incorrect here, you might be putting yourself at jeopardy and having them question your application a little bit more. Okay. So there are about 9 sections within the profile section that you need to complete. All right. And as you complete each of these sections correctly, you'll start to see a green tick next to each of the sections. So as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, you see contact details, the demographics, and so on and so forth. Demographics and scholarship information are tick green because I think those are not required if I remember correctly. But as you go through and fill out your information correctly, you'll see each of these light up with a green tick. So some tips and best practice: use your legal name, or the name that would be in your passport if you have your passports already, so that colleges can match your application with standardized test scores and other documents. So this will become essential, especially after acceptance letters do come out and they need to put together your immigration paperwork for your visas. You will have the opportunity to share more about your gender identity and make sure that the email address you enter is one that you check regularly. So what they've done differently from years previous is that they haven't left like literally 3 options they used to have for gender identity. It used to be male, female, and other. Now you can really just go in and write what you identify yourself as. So that's a great addition that they've added. Scholarships, ScholarSnap. So ScholarSnap connects you with scholarships to help pay for college. If you are interested in learning more about it, definitely press yes and you can follow the link. So they have, of course, scholarships that could be connected to international students, but by far what I do see most of these scholarships pertaining to is mostly the United, like US citizens or permanent residents, but there are quite a few international ones available, like the Dell Foundation or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation too. So a little bit more about the Common App fee waiver. I know this won't pertain to everybody, but if you are a opportunity student, definitely pay attention to this. So what you want to do is that most of the member colleges of the Common App are of the holistic mind. And what they aim to do is that they're not just looking at students of a certain class or a certain ability. They really want to look at you as a whole person. And one of those factors what they don't want to deter people from is people who will not ordinarily be able to afford university applications. Fees, should I say. So what ends up happening is that you can select, if you feel that paying an application fee will be a financial burden to you, then you can select the application fee waiver. What this would do is you would click yes, and then from there on be able to pick a reason why. Generally, as an international student, because many of the programs listed here are US specific, what you would list as, I can provide a supporting statement from a school official, my college access counselor, aka me, financial aid officer, or community leader. So generally, that person could provide a note of basically noting that you need the fee waiver in part of your recommendation. Or what will end up happening is that you would need to speak to your school counselor, as what will happen is if you click yes on here, on their section of the recommendation section, which we'll get to, what ends up happening is they will have to agree that you are in need of a fee waiver. Okay, then you'll also have to sign your name. Now, not sign your signature in the traditional sense, but literally write out your full name under where it says fee waiver signature with a little red star at the bottom of the screen there. Students who qualify for fee waivers are then invited to connect with what's called a Strive for College mentor. So basically, this is a free virtual mentoring to provide additional support in admission and financial aid process. You can select it. However, you do have a lot of support through me and through other means. So it's not necessary if you don't want to clog your inbox any more than you have to. Okay, the family section. All right, get ready to know a little bit more about mom and dad and siblings. So this is going to have, some insight as to who you are and what your makeup and your background is. So what ends up happening is that they are looking at family information to get a better understanding of who a student is, where they are coming from, and what background. All right. So again, just some quotations, and also for them to consider legacy if you had a family member that used to be at that institution. There are 4 sections to complete within the family section. You've got your household as an overall arcing feature. So are your parents married? Are they not? Who, if they are not, who do you live with? Kind of a little bit more information on there. And then as you go, they'll ask you some information in terms of your parents. Where are they from? Where did they go to school? What's their highest level of education? And so on and so forth. Some best tips and practices for this section. You can list up to 5 siblings in the family. I know some of you do have a number of siblings. And you can list additional siblings in the additional information section located in the writing section if you do run out. For parent 1, you have the option to indicate that you have limited information about this parent, which will make the resulting fields for that parent not required. And the options for parent 2 also include the ability to indicate that. So you won't be stuck for whatever reason if, let's say, you don't know about one parent, maybe they passed away and you don't have that information on hand, or maybe they aren't really involved in your life. You do have ability to say, look, I just don't have this. So a little bit more on the education. Before we move on to the education system, I do think it's important that you will need to list the schools that your siblings go to, and so on and so forth. So just be aware of that. So the education section, you'll share information about your current school, former schools, and your current coursework as well. So as you can see there, some more quotes from the the Common App group. So the information in the education section provides some details about, were there any educational interruptions? Did you go to multiple schools during your high school year? Did you take any university level courses? Were you part of any assistance programs or scholarship programs like Student Scholarship Program, SSP, so on and so forth? So that gives a holistic approach to the admissions review, as Binghamton has said. And allows them to get a better whole picture and showcase your academic achievement. So any of your academic honors will go in here too, and that would generally include, any subject awards, colors, full colors, half colors, Olympiads, something of that nature tends to go in here. Okay. Again, there are 9 sections to complete within the education section. So what you will see on the list of subheadings, if you want to call it, is your current or most recent school, other schools. So I know a few of you have been to multiple high schools, so you would list this information there. Community-based organizations. Now, previously, because Education USA was not listed as an organization under there, you'd have to manually put it in. We had limited this section to strictly opportunity students. However, with that being said now, I do think you should be putting my name and contact information under community-based organizations, because you can select Education USA now. And then that would free up your activity section not to have to put, oh, I'm an Education USA scholar in there. So it leaves you more space to indicate your other achievements and probably stuff that you probably want to showcase more than you got help from me. Further to that, it will also speak about any education interruptions. So let's say you had to take off for a few months, or you had to do an exchange, or I know a couple of us have had, some short-term surgeries, anything like that. You would input there. You would also put in your grades, or what you would term your averages. So generally under grades, and I'll take you through the live screen a little bit later, what they are going to ask for is your class rank. All right, you can put that in if you have it. I know some schools are very hesitant to release that information. And then it'll also ask for your grade point average, or what you may have heard of as your GPA. Now, because it's not something that we do in South Africa, I generally will say for you to, generally what I would say for you to do is to remove that need for the GPA. Okay. So that's quite important for that to happen. Under current or most recent year's courses, you are going to put down what you have taken in your matric year. So generally this will include any courses that you have done or completed for the year. So if you've done your 7, your 8, your 10, whatever number you've included in there. Honors, again, as I said before, will include any full colors, half colors, from an academic point of view, and then Olympiads. So just to be mindful of that. And then future plans. So this will include maybe the highest level of education you wish to pursue, and then what career you wish to pursue. But remember, you don't have to put anything in there. All right. So a very important section, of course, but some tips and best practices with regards to the education section. Ask your counselor for an unofficial copy of your transcript to help you with filling out the education section. So generally what this will mean is that you will need to have your grade reports with you so that you can potentially fill out everything. If they have a cumulative grade for you, it's also good to have on hand, or if they have a class ranking. So I know I had a meeting with one of you earlier this week, and you shared with me how your transcript shows ranking. Okay, selecting the correct high school ensures that the correct path is followed for your recommendation letter submissions. So in most cases, barring I think Crawford, Pretoria, and maybe a couple other schools, not any of our South African schools are listed on the Common App system, so you will have to manually input the school's name, address, and contact information. So just be mindful of that. If you are homeschooled, none of us really are, you can search for the homeschool program and enter the association, or manually enter the name. It's okay to select other or undecided for your future plans and career interests. I want you to know that you're not going to be penalized if you don't have that information handy. Okay. The testing section. So you have the option to self-report any scores or future test dates for the standardized tests that you have taken. Now, what this tends to help for is, as you know, when you have to send reports to the different colleges and universities, and when I say send reports, you're sending official score reports through the college board or the ACT website. You're going on, you're putting the codes specific to an individual university, and you are basically giving permission for the testing agency to send an official report to the universities. Okay. Now, a lot of the universities have clued themselves up of late. So the likes of Duke, Stanford, Columbia, and so on have said, listen, we will take your self-reports. So in the testing section, they want you to put your scores of the dates that you have taken. If you would like to, you can put your highest scores, and they ask for the highest scores that is available, or when you plan to sit for future testing, so that the admissions officers know, oh, look, let's say you are applying early decisional action, but you are, taking a November test, like subject test, and those scores won't be ready by the time you submit your application. They will see on the application, oh, hang on, they are going to be taking this test. I must be aware that they will potentially submit some scores a little bit later. So it's just giving them information about what you have done and what you will do before they need to make a decision on your applications. Of course, it saves you about $12 to $13 for each report if you haven't selected the first 4 for free when you were testing. So that does help. So in Stanford and Duke's case, what ends up happening is that you are then allowed to self-report, and then if you are admitted and you enroll into that university, then you will have to submit an official copy of the report from the agency. So the agency will then have to send a report, but it basically saves you from having to spend tens to 20s or hundreds of dollars to send these reports to your final list of universities. Okay. So I've already spoken about the self-report, but as you can see here, it will ask about the standardized test, but then it's also going to ask for you as an international applicant. It's going to ask the question, is promotion within your educational system based on standard leaving examinations given at the end of lower and or senior secondary by a state or national leaving examination board? Okay. Students applying in the US typically answer no to this question because it's not something that we do. But if you are taking Cambridge, you're taking matric exams on either IEB or the CAPS system or NEC, whatever you call the CAPS or the NEC system, you will indicate yes. And then what will end up happening is that they will ask you for the list of examinations you plan to take or that you have taken. What will end up happening as a result is that you will have to put in predicted scores. And generally what I would say is put your prelim scores in and add a little extra because we know they are a little bit harder. And then when your final ones are released, you can send that official report, or your counselor can upload that official report later. So some tips and best practices. The testing section allows you to list tests that you plan to take in future. If you are an international applicant and are required to take senior secondary leaving examinations for graduation, you'll be able to add actual or predicted scores. If you do not want to self-report scores to the school, you can change your answer to say you have no scores you wish to report by clicking no. Your tests and scores will disappear and you can change it back and they'll reappear. So it doesn't mean you have to keep refilling it out depending on which universities you're sending it to. So that's a good thing. And then while the testing section allows you to self-report your scores, you must also send official score reports in most cases. But as I said, some universities are catching on to allow you to self-report and then send official reports if you are accepted, which I think is pretty awesome. So the next section that follows after testing will be the activities section, and this gives you the opportunity to share with the colleges any activities you participated in throughout high school. What I will say about this though is you are limited to 10 options that you have. Okay, so just be mindful of that. And that you pick the 10 that have been most important and that you've achieved the most in. And try and rank order them in from most important to you to maybe least important to you. And also indicate if you will also have a chance to indicate if you want to continue this activity in university. Okay. So as you can see here at Adelphi, they say it's one of their favorite sections of the application, and add persona to an application. They demonstrate an applicant's interest outside of the classroom and allow us to glimpse into that applicant's passions, further demonstrating how that individual may enhance our student community. So, I mean, I love this section too because I learn more about you guys. I mean, you put some stuff in your applications when you first apply to the program, but this really indicates some really cool things, like cool instruments that you are interested in playing in or do play, cool activities that you do outside of school or job shadowing opportunities that you've had. And quite honestly, the admissions officers also highly value this because, as I said, I mean, I always pick on the oboe players, but if they really need an oboe player and they see that you play the oboe, they're going to choose you as a result. Okay, so just be mindful of that. As I said before, you can report up to 10 activities within the activity section. And the first question they ask of you is reporting activities can help a college better understand your life outside the classroom. Your activities may include arts, athletics, clubs, employment, personal commitments, and this includes maybe, say, babysitting or taking care of younger siblings or taking care of older family members, having to work to support the family or other pursuits. So do you have any activities that you wish to report? And you select yes or no, and then add as you go. All right. You can change the display order by using the up and down arrows that you will see at the top right-hand corner of the activity section. And you should not feel obligated to list more than 10 or just feel like you're putting filler in if you don't have more than 10. You can also list family responsibilities and jobs within the section, as I spoke about before. And for some of us, that does take a great amount of our time. So just be mindful that you're not at a disadvantage. If you wish to delete an activity and move it to the bottom, or move it to the bottom of your list, sorry. And once it's the last activity, you'll see a little dustbin icon that will allow you to, or rubbish bin, depending on which slang we're using, see the icon and to do it, delete it. All right, everybody's least favorite subject, and thank you to all of those who have been sending through their drafts of their essays. Reminder to everyone, I would like to see first drafts of your Common App essays by the 15th of September, so make that notation in your calendars. But the writing section contains the Common App personal essay, as well as information about your disciplinary history and any additional information you may want to provide to the colleges. Okay. So the writing section is a student's opportunity to shine. In other words, the section of the Common App, there's a specified format with boxes to check and numbers to enter. The writing section gives each student the creative freedom to express her or himself in an authentic and insightful manner. It gives us something that we wouldn't glean from other parts of the application, a depth of the personal character. To expect students to come to us as fully informed human beings is antithetical to the mission of the higher education. Often, the best writing section showcases students' willingness to be challenged, to become more engaged learner and citizen. So you don't have to have it all figured out. That's really what the thing is, but they want to start seeing a passion, a line there, a love of learning, and I can't stress this enough. You must not put in information that you've already put in other parts of the application. This really is an opportunity for you to show them something that isn't available in the rest of it. So there are 3 sections, as we said before, to complete: personal essay, disciplinary history, and additional information. Some tips and best practices with regards to the writing section. You may submit the personal essay to any college, even if it is not required by that college. Carefully review each prompt before selecting one. So generally when I'm reading your drafts, I want to be able to say, I know that you answered prompt 2 or so on and so forth. So, and the universities were going to want to see that. Did you answer the question that was asked of you? Okay. Now, I know that some of you did the essay workshop when we did the application bootcamp at the end of June, or that you will be joining us now on the 4th of September for the essay workshop. but just be mindful that this has to be quite a vulnerable piece of writing, to show you as the individual, and hopefully that will shine. I've been reading some great ones already, I have to say. Proofread your essay before submitting your application. Sometimes it's worth getting someone else to proofread it. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, but if you can get an English teacher to review it, or so on and so forth, I definitely make sure that the content is right, and I will speak about word choice, but by no means am I going to pretend to be a master of the English language. Okay, if you're unsure how to answer disciplinary history questions, talk to your parent or your counselor. So these questions tend to be about, have you been caught cheating or had any misconduct at school, on that level, but it will also ask you about any criminal convictions. Okay. Use the additional information section to share information about yourself that is not captured elsewhere in your application. So what I'll do after this session as well is to share with you an additional link on how to answer the additional information. This can be basically more information about activities. If you feel like you didn't get enough words in on your activity section, you can input further information here. If maybe you have to explain a certain instrument that you play, maybe you need to explain your family situation or dynamics a little bit more, or so on and so forth. So this is really just a carte blanche, though you are limited again to, I think, between 650 and 750 words on this section. So yeah, you will have to be tactical with how you use that section. All right, so I'm going to take you now to the Common App website just to show you where there are some additional resources that can really be of benefit to you, and then I'm going to show you my dummy site that I have. Okay, so there are links within that, but let's just go on now and get out of here. You will have to excuse me, I'm getting used to this Mac that I've so lovely gotten and recently got, and I'm loving it, but I'm still learning quite a bit on it. So here we go. Moving on, excuse my ums, there's too many ums. Let me see if you've seen what I see. Okay, let me know if you see the screen. Okay, that has, there we go, is popping up. So this is on the Common App website. So as you know, the normal website, commonapp.org, and what you will see there is presentation. So how to, first of all, even just create your account. You will all be first year students, not transfer students. The application overview PowerPoint that we've just gone through, you will see there. Tips and best practices, which I highly recommend you download. It is on the Google Drive as well, so don't worry. And then questions about fee waivers, documents you should have with you. And then you'll also see some resources that you can provide your counselor and your teacher recommendations or recommenders. So there's, process that you can, provide them so that they know what they're supposed to do. So tip, as you can see, if you follow my mouse, quick guide to the counselor recommendation, a quick guide to the teacher recommendation. I do believe there's even information on other tutorials that they can do if you feel like reading it in Spanish. Emilian, maybe that you can practice your Spanish that way. I know you on. But anyway, yeah. Writing effective letters of recommendation. I know there's a lot of questions with all of us about, okay, they need to write a recommendation, but what makes a good recommendation? So as you can see, tips for writing effective letters of recommendation is listed there too. Okay. So again, commonapp.org /ready. Okay, is definitely something to have a look at. But what I did want to do is take you to the account that I have. So I've got the Common App up and running. Okay, let's see if I can make this big screen so that you all can see it. Okay. So as you can see, the personal information is here. I was not born in 2001. Okay, so nobody make big questions about that. Yes, I just put it there for interest's sake to feel like it's part of the group. But yeah, so you will see that the information that they tend to ask can be quite important. Your address information, you may need to look this up. What I will say is once you've input your information, they might give you a different email, like mailing address that they suggest. If you really feel that's not correct, just say, no, I'd prefer to use the one that I've input. Okay. Contact details. So this will include, you can put a home phone number, a mobile number, and then other contacts. Maybe you want to give them a parent's phone number if you feel like sometimes you have an issue with answering phones. Demographics will include your religious preference. If you're part of the US Armed Forces, I definitely know that none of you are part of that. If you're Hispanic or Latino or have that sort of heritage within you, and then kind of what you identify yourself as, okay? None of this is mandatory. I just want you to know, and that is why it's always ticked off green beforehand, okay? So as you can see here, what you could do is, I think there's a prefer not to answer. No, yeah, none. Yeah, you don't have to look. See, as you can see, there's no red star next to any of it. So, with the exception of the bottom, you could say, yes, I've completed this to the best of my satisfaction and move on. Okay. Country of birth, city of birth, the number of years you have lived in the United States if you have. So I know a couple of us have been on exchange programs to the US. You can put that in. And so on and so forth. So just be mindful of that. Language, how many languages are you proficient in? Let's say you can put 2. Select if it's first language spoken at home, so on and so forth. That can be quite important. Okay. Especially for those of you who speak multiple languages. Citizenship. I know some of us have dual nationality, so you can put US dual citizen. If I was a high school student doing it, I would do that. I know a couple of you are permanent residents or will have permanent residency by the time you start there. But in most cases, the far majority of us will select other non-US. Okay, and then you'll be able to input there what you are. And then if you do have a current visa, you can put yes here and put maybe it's B1, B2, and that's fine. Okay, or you can put just put B1, B2 if you have it. So as you can see, a common test waiver, you can select and then you sign your name, and you would move on. Okay. I'll sign this. Okay. So I just put this in for interest's sake. So as you can see on the family section, they take you through and they ask about your parents' marital status, the year of divorce, if they were never married, so on and so forth. It does give you the option to put information in about step parents if they have a major influential part of your life, or if they are going to be helping in any way. It would be important to put that in there. And then it also asks if you have any children. I am not no one's told me if they have children. If you did, it would be nice to know. But yeah, you can list if you have any children. And then you will see here, if we go on to parents, it's going to ask you, is it a mother or a father, or you can select, I have limited information. And then what ends up happening is that you can go through and put in what their full name is, former last names, countries of birth, occupations, and their educational level. Now, unfortunately, they don't really have anything for diploma. So what I tend to do is just, you can say graduated from a college or university, and then just put degree, say other degree. Okay, see if I can do this here. So you see the associates. So you can just say other and then leave it at that. Okay. Siblings. You would have to indicate how many siblings you have, their name, information, and their educational level, or completed grade, grade or primary school, grade school in the US, or they are in high school. That sort of information. Yeah. Moving on from that, you'll see that this jumped to the education section now. It's going to ask you. Now, I do want to show you the find the school function because I do think it's important. Now, as you can see here, okay, there's nothing here. Okay, I'm going to go to South Africa. Let's see who's listed. Okay, South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands. That's cool. Never heard of the Sandwich Islands. All right, so now you'll see here. They've got African Leadership Academy, the African School for Excellence in Tsakani and Brakpan. So they've got a number of schools that probably have CEB codes. So there's quite a number of schools. I wouldn't say I recognize many of them. I see River, you'll be cool. You've got your St. Benedict's, so that's cool. Yeah. Jay, I think you'll be all awesome as well there. But yeah, a number of you can see that not every university is listed here. Okay. So what ends up happening then is like, oh, I don't see my high school. Continue. And you'll have to input the full information. Okay. And then the country it's in and so on and so forth. Okay. So just be mindful of that. Oh, please don't be silly with me now. Okay. It will ask about gap year and so on and so forth. Your counselor information, yeah. So this is going to be the person at school, at your school, that will be uploading your grade reports and writing a small evaluation on you in most cases. Now, I know I've spoken to some of you that the person who has access to grade reports is not the same person that can write a recommendation. Sometimes the only person that has access to reports or can upload things, doesn't know you from literally a bar of soap. So what I generally would recommend is that you get the counselor and the person, who would write a good recommendation and the person who uploads things to speak to one another, and basically the counselor writes a recommendation, gives it to the person who can upload the reports, and then they add that in with a notation that as relationship is not cemented, I hereby have a recommendation from the more appropriate counselor person because only administration has access to school records. Okay. I don't know. We can work on the language. Okay. So other secondary schools, you would list those as well, as we said before. If you've taken any college or university credit, you can also input that there. Great. So I just wanted to show this to all of you. So if you know your graduating class size, you can input that there. If they do class ranking report, you can say exact, or if it's in the decile, quintile, quartile, or you can say none. You're welcome to input that. Okay. So let's say number 2. If it's weighted or unweighted, in most cases, I know with you guys it would be unweighted. And then what I do from a South African context is leave the GPA blank because it's not something that we do at all. Okay. You could even say it's not even going to let you do that. That's why I say to leave it blank. Okay. Current courses, so in most cases you'll be taking 7. All right. What I always suggest is that you list it either as a quarter if you're at a 4-term school, or trimester if you are at a 3-term school. list the name. So let's just say English as, or we can just put English first home language, sorry. Okay, select the appropriate level. Now, in most cases, you're going to put regular or standard. I know some of you at international schools, you can put it if you're in an accelerated program. For AP Math and AP English, you can also put it accelerated or advanced. Do not put AP. All right, AP is a specific US program. Okay, and that would basically list what US high school students or the American school in Cape Town, they do an AP curriculum. It's not something that you do, so leave it blank. I know some of us are part of the Cambridge system, so pick the appropriate level for the Cambridge. Okay. Full year in most cases, and then again, okay, I'm just going to say regular standard there, and then you can move on for each course that you do. Okay, continue on. Under honors, you can say how many honors you have. You are allowed to put up to 5. So as I said here before, you would put in full colors. Okay. Let me spell colors correctly in our terms. And then you could say, oh, okay, I got a grade 11 and grade 12. I don't know, it's different programs. Is it school recognition, state recognition, national, international? So, you know, your Olympiads can go here, so you can put science. I can't even spell properly today on this new keyboard. Science Olympiad. And yeah, go through all of that. And of course, I will help and review as we go along. So under community-based organizations, you can input me into here. All right. So you'll see here, Education USA is listed. All right, Miss Howell CE2 is my official address. And should be the preferred method. So this will be applicable to the advisor role as well as official communications from universities. In some cases, they will not take anything from me unless it comes from this address. So let's just keep it all uniformed. So South Africa, you can list there, and let's just say 112903108. Okay. And then I'll be listed there. Okay, career entrance, as I said, you can put other, okay, you can list it there, and highest degree, you know, you can say bachelor's, you can put master's, you can put PhD, and it'll be fine. Okay. So you can self-report or do no self-report. I'm just going to put yes so that we can see. Always pick SAT March 2016 or after. And this, yeah, SAT subject tests. Let's just put that in, and then we can say yes, just so that you can see what the screen is and be mindful of it. Okay, let's say I'm going to put 1. Have you taken the one with SAES? Okay, so how many future sittings? I'm going to take a 1 future sitting. Let's say I took the May 2018 exam and I got a 750 on my reading and writing. I wish. And again, oh, so your future testing date, sorry, I've got that mixed up. So your future, let's say October. There, October 2018. And then I got this on April. May. I wouldn't even list April. Anyway, there's not a test date then. Remind me, I think it was May 6th, right? No, 5th. Cinco de Mayo. Okay. And then you can say for math, I got 760 and I got that in March. It was 10th, eh? and then you can say your combined. So I got 16 on each of the 3 sections, and I got that in May 2018. Okay. Same thing for subject tests. So this is how many subjects you plan to take. So remember, you can take up to 3 on the same day. So let's just say, oh no, I only take 2. The date taken, the subject, and the score would be listed. Okay. Thanks, Miriam, for letting me know the dates. That helps. Senior secondary exam. So this is any things that you already have taken. Okay. So let's say we're getting to March. All right. Not March, November, and you're like, oh, I've only taken 2. So you can put 2, or you can put 0. Like, I haven't taken any yet, so I don't really have scores. Or if we're doing this in mid-December, you can like, well, I've taken 8 of my exams. I took it in October or November of 2018. Okay. And you can see here that some are listed, right? Ours is not. Okay. Don't know why, but A levels are, IB is, baccalaureate is also. So just be mindful of that. So what you would do is say independent examination board. Okay. Just leave it there. Okay. Or I can't, sorry, other, I'll find it, and then you can write independent. I'm just gonna put IEB for. You can say English again. And then you can put, okay, I did my prelim, I got an 82. I might do a little bit better, so I'm going to put 85, and then I'm going to list it as a predicted score, because my real score is not going to come out till January, I don't know, 3rd, and I need to put something out for now. Okay, so you can do that, and that's fine to submit your application. Remember, I'm going to review all your applications before you press submit, so don't worry if it's not coming completely together right now. So activities, okay. Again, you can select art, athletics. So club, so let's say you play for, I don't know, I'm making up a team now, Santon Stars, maybe there's a Santon Stars team. So it's a club team that you play for, but it's not for your school. Then you can put club. JV and varsity tends to be like first and second team sports, okay. Career-oriented, community service, so on and so forth. But you can see there's quite family responsibilities, exchange, internship, work, other, you name it. There's pretty much everything there. What years you participated in it, when was during the school year, was it during the break? I know some of you were camp counselors during break. How many hours you spent on it per week, but how many weeks per year? Because we know, different seasons for different sports, okay. Always make sure that you list here, do you intend to do it in university or not? Don't put it there because you think, oh, maybe I should say yes, maybe they'll accept me more, and then plan not to do it. Really consider this. Obviously, you can't do all of that, all your activities at university. I think, yeah, you're more limited in time at university than you are in high school. Okay, so I'm just going to move on from here. So as you can see here, so I've added a few universities already, and it talks about the Common App essay, and it says which universities require it and which do not. Okay, so and then as you can see there, it says prepare an essay of no more than 650 words, and then it's got each of the 7 prompts listed, and then it gives you your box to put it in. What I would say is you can write this in Word, keep track of your word count on Word, and then you can copy and paste it into here. Just make sure the formatting is what you want it to be. But don't go over 650 words. Be mindful that if you do that, your essay will get cut off. Okay. Yeah. So, and you can make it bigger or smaller. Okay. Disciplinary history, as I said before. So, yeah, disciplinary violation of any educational institution you attended from 9th grade or the international equivalent forward. Okay, just be mindful of that. I'm going to say no. And then have you ever been adjudicated guilty or convicted of a misdemeanor or felony. So this is your criminal record. Okay, so just be mindful of that. No. Okay. And then additional information. If there's something that you want to put in, don't feel like you have to. If you don't have anything extra, don't worry about it. But if you do want to elaborate on any activities, if you want to elaborate on any family dynamics, or maybe dad's going to be retiring in a year's time, you can input that information into there. And then again, you are limited to 650 words, but you can input it onto there. Okay. You can put courses and grades, but honestly, this is just so time consuming, and they're going to get your grade reports, and not really any university requires it. Now, as you can see, I've already done a preliminary list of my colleges. Okay. But if you are going to look, so I go to my colleges tab, they're already listed there. But if you go to college search, all right, you can put in the name of a university here, or what country it is, because there are some Canadian and UK institutions here, or you can put the state. So let's pick on Pennsylvania. All right, you go for search. Oh, look here, there's quite a number. There's a number of pages. I'm going to pick Allegheny because they're very nice to me at the conference this past week. So is Bucknell. They sat at my lunch table. So let's pick on them. Not that that's how you should choose universities. That's just who I'm choosing for this. Okay. All right. And then it will take you back to my colleges tab. And what you'll see here, so we'll use Allegheny as an example. Okay. You will see that the main page will list contact information, the deadlines for the various admission options that they have. So Allegheny is quite interesting. They have early decision and early action. That's an interesting one. And they have 2 early decision intakes, which I think is very interesting. Okay. You'll also see what the application fee, so they're very friendly. Theirs is at a 0. You can also click on their test policy if they require any standardized testing, or is it just optional? Remember, optional doesn't always mean that exactly what it says, because especially for funding, often you will need it. But this is important here. So recommendations. So they'll say there's school report or profiles required from the counselor, this counselor recommendation, your final report. Now remember, your counselor should not be inputting anything in the final report tab, which I'll show you in a minute, because it is absolutely required that your matric results go in here or your grade 12 results go in here, and that won't be ready until later. If your counselor puts something in this tab before that date, then you're going to be in a position where all the other tabs for them closes off. Okay. Teacher evaluations, so they have 1 required, but you can submit 2. And then other evaluations, they don't require any more, but 2 optional. Now remember, me as your counselor, for the scholars, so the Education USA scholars specifically, I will be writing recommendations for you. Okay. They do put some additional information here about what they want, and so on and so forth. But moving on from that, you will see under each heading for the universities, you'll see questions. So this will be about when you are hoping to start university. So I'm going to say I'm picking early action. And you want to live on campus. What are you pursuing? Need-based financial aid. Remember, you must select financial aid now before you start university, as they will give you the option to be considered for it from here on out. Let's say you don't select this option and then dad loses his job next year. If you have not selected this option from the beginning, they will never consider you for financial aid in most cases. So I always say it's good just to say yes, and then they can review your documents. All right. You can say if you're submitting, if you're not submitting test scores. I don't know. I know we have to talk about the ZME account, seems to be quite popular. You can put it in. But yeah, there's some specific questions here that they may ask you that is specific to a university. So like Elegni says, over and over again, we hear from leaders in business, government, medicine, education, and community service that the future belongs to individuals who are innovators, inventors, and big picture thinkers, those who can think both creatively and analytically. Is this preparation for career? It is this preparation for careers and for life that Allegheny, with its emphasis on unusual combination, is known for providing. Briefly describe your unusual combinations of interests and talents and how they will fit in Allegheny. Now, I know some of you have some unique combinations of interest. So yeah, there you can put that in there. Okay, so it will ask what you want to study. So I'm going to put astronomy. And my second one is biology. Okay, so you can move on. It might ask you to put in activities that you would like to do at the university. It might ask you to elaborate. I also have a document that talks about how to deal with this elaboration of an extracurricular activity. Contacts. Okay, so if you've ever gone to an information session where they've been, or if you want them to contact you, this is where you'll put it. And then the family generally tends to be, has anyone in your family ever worked at the college, or has a sibling or a parent, or so on and so forth? Go on there. So I'm just reading the question here. So should we tick the box that says if you wish to be contacted by a mobile phone, please provide your phone number in the contact section? And if yes, why, how, for what would they contact you? So this would be if they want to, I don't know, have a conversation with you. Maybe they want to do like an impromptu interview. But I haven't really seen this used so much because really they would be able to get your phone number from the profile section. Okay. So as you can see here, so this is a bit difficult because I haven't done the full university. So I'm going to pretend that I'm at, I don't know, let's see. I'm going to pretend I'm at ALA. No, I'm going to pretend I'm at King David. All right. I'm going to graduate in November 2018. No. Yes. Sorry. Wrong date. And then when did you guys start? 2013? 2014? Yeah, 2014. Graduation date, November. Okay. No change in progression. Okay. I'm going to put myself, even though it's not true, just because for interest's sake. Just doing this so I can show you how the recommender section works. Get back to my colleges. So recommenders and FERPA. Now FERPA is basically what's termed the Family and Educational Rights Act. All right. And what this basically says to you is that you must waive your rights to see like your recommendations and your reports that, you know, that your counselor and your recommenders can send this without having to let you know first or show you first. And the universities prefer this because it makes sure that your recommendations and so on and so forth are more, how to say, authentic and more candid. Okay. So you would release authorization. So as you can read through here, it says you are entitled to see them, but you are waiving your rights. If you're unsure, they'll ask you questions. So, you can look into more information. But as I said, universities will question if you don't waive your rights. They'll be kind of like, well, are you trying to hide something? Okay. So I'm saying I do waive my rights. I'll put Claire Powell. Okay. Have I not put something in? Or am I wrong? Oh, sorry, I understand. Okay. So what ends up happening here is that you can now invite and manage your recommenders. I mean, just going back on what your question is about by impromptu interview, you mean that they can call you at any time? No, what they do is they'll call you and say, they'll get your permission first and ask if they can set up a time to speak with you. They're not going to put you on the spot, don't worry. So recommender invitations, if we're going back to the screen, you can select counselor, teacher, other recommender, parent, and advisor. So advisor, you should be putting me in here, okay? You can put Mrs. I feel like it makes me sound really old. Remember my state address, okay? So then I will get an email on my system telling me that I've been added. Your counselor, again, you put all their information in. Teacher, parents. So the reason why your parents might need access is because they, for your early decision, basically sign off is that your parents need to also agree that if you get into the early decision university, you will go to it. So you're basically signing over that, right? Okay. So just be mindful of that. If someone says, "Oh, I didn't get it," you can check the email address. So, I've seen a mistake. I'm going to delete it. I didn't put the 2 in my name, so you can delete it. Or if everything is right, you can resend it. Okay. Okay. What I would say is on advisor, make sure that I can preview your application. So you must select yes. Otherwise, all I can see is that you have an account, not what you've actually done, right? What you do have to do here is you have to, okay, I'm just going to go back to the management, sorry. So you can select what subject they've taken you for, Mr. Don Go. Use the Mac. Okay, I'm just going to put this in. Add recommender. Okay. So you've put that in and you're like, oh no, my counselor hasn't received anything. Then one of the reasons maybe is because you haven't assigned them yet. So you might have to select, if you see here on the screen, so you select Claire Powell's, my English teacher, and select assign. Okay. And then it will send it through. Okay. So just be mindful of that. And then you can also add another and so on and so forth. Already got an email. Okay. So if they're not put in here, that might be why. What I will say is on the screen, you can see it says assigned. If it's not started, that means they haven't signed in and begun anything. If they have signed in, you will see it will say started with the date that they started it. And if they've submitted it, it will say submitted. Okay, so just be aware of that. So you can also track them and see what they are doing. And you can also kind of call them out on what they have and have not done. When you are ready to submit, okay, you will have a screen here that will allow you to press submit and go through. But as you can see, each university will have its own set of requirements and might have their own short questions that they ask of you that is specific to those universities. Your supplemental essays will also be in this section. Okay, I'm just trying to see if I can find one that has, yeah. So Harvard, they have the questions, the recommenders, and the review, but you see that they also have their own writing supplement. All right. So if you go to their writing page, you will see the questions that they ask you. If they've always, my rule of thumb is give them information. All right. You don't want to give them any reason to deny you. All you can do is add to your application. So if they give you an optional essay, do it. It can only enhance your application. Okay, so you can see here you talk about traveling, a letter to your future college roommate, much like the Stanford essay. How do you hope to use your college? So there's quite a number of options here, and even a prompt of your own choice. Okay. So that is be mindful, and then you can submit. As I said before, you do have the financial aid resources tab, which you can go into. My US citizens and permanent residents, there's a lot of information here for FAFSA, so please take advantage of it. There is quite a lot, and then you can also check on this university-specific sites. Okay, so be aware of that. Okay, taking it back a little bit. Also just be mindful of what options are available to you in terms of researching your universities, knowing why you want to apply to them, because they are going to help you with the supplemental questions. And make sure that you use the resources, if not on the Common App website, on the Google Drive specifically. I will send you the Word document that can help you with each of the questions from a South African context. Okay. I do want to just point out before we move on to questions, the dashboard. So you'll see here that the dashboard includes, it's just a quick little overview, and I tend to see this on the advisor screens, is the overview of your universities, just some requirements. So writing, so here for Allegheny it says writing is required, writing optional for other things. Deadline, so once you've selected your plan of admission, a deadline will pop up here. So I selected early action, so I know that by the 1st of December, and remember the dates are opposite, so it's always going to be month, day, year for US terms, so don't get that mixed up. Generally, if a deadline's coming up, you'll see a little clock icon that will be listed here to let you know that, hey, get on this, get this done, it's due soon. You'll see that the yellow dot for application and then writing supplement. If you have completed it, it will be green check marks. All right. If you want to remove a university, just press remove. Now be mindful. The Common App universities can generally see where you've submitted applications to and which universities on your list. Right. So that's why I'm always say be a little bit limited in terms of the universities that you list on here. Okay. If you click on the arrow, you will see some more information, okay, more in depth, incomplete or completed, and then the writing supplements, okay. So it's just letting you know what's done and what's not done, okay. So I'm going to take it back to the chat, okay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you. But I'm going to open it up to all of you to chat if you want to. We can do some speaking. I'm not going to put my camera on. We don't need to see this eye of mine. And then we can continue chatting. Okay? Any questions, you're welcome to email me. Any issues that you have with Google Drives or so on and so forth, let me know. I will share the Google Drive link again, but what I'll do is also attach the Word document that I was discussing that takes you through the Common App from a South African perspective. Okay, so I'm just going to stop the presenting mode and then open up to you guys. Okay. So any questions you have, if you can join in live, please go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. You are welcome to ask questions. Okay. I am monitoring the chat feed on the YouTube site. Okay. Any questions? So regarding the financial aid, so remember the financial aid applications are going to be separate from your admission applications. So there tends to be two options from an international point of view. If a university is going to consider you for need-based aid, they generally will look at the CSS profile, which is another offering from the College Board, so the same people that do the SAT exam. That is an online form that you fill out regarding your family's assets, liabilities, income, and expenses. The ISFA is a paper-based form that is basically the same, is a paper-based version of the CSS profile. So universities prefer the CSS profile, but in most cases, if it becomes a financial burden to submit the CSS profile, because you do have to pay a fee for each university you submit to, if you can either get a fee waiver from the university for the online form, or you can ask them that they will take the paper-based form. Okay. So it's an either-or scenario. CSS profile is always first prize in their opinions. You will get some institutions like Yale that will, if you can't do the CSS profile, will ask you to do an institutional specific questionnaire that they will email to you. Okay. Any other questions? Hey, E, thanks for joining us. So the CSS profile is much like the Common App. You'll fill out one common profile on your finances, and you'll submit. And then once you've selected your universities, they might ask you some specific questions. But remember, I'm going to do a separate financial aid application form workshop for parents on the 2nd of October. Okay. I might do one in person and do a very similar live broadcast as well, just because I do think there's going to be need. Okay. Any other questions? So I know I'll wait for other questions, but as we wait, I just wanted to remind you that I know it's becoming a very busy season. Either you are doing prelims if you're at a four-term institution, or you are getting ready to go back to school at the end of August or early September, and we'll be doing prelims then. Don't worry too much. I know this is a lot of work, but that's why, for the most case, I want to try and get it all done, by the 30th of September, that you have the main bulk of your application done and you well in advance of finishing your recommendations. Those are out of the way, and your essays, so that we're not panicking in November and December. Okay. I do have some news that I do want to share with all of you, but I will share that probably later in the year, just kind of what we'll be looking for towards next year and kind of how we're going to work with the cohorts. But it's going to be along the lines with this virtual advising. I think it's working. So yeah, I'll share that with you guys in due course. But use the resources that you have. I don't think enough of you take advantage of the Google Drive. If you feel like maybe we need to do a Google Hangout on navigating the Google Drive and where everything is, maybe we can do that. And I think that might be beneficial, and I'd be happy to do that. Hi, Fio. So you said, under which tab do you fill information out about financial aid? You're not going to be doing that on the Common App. All you're going to be doing is for the individual universities, they may ask you, will you be applying for financial need-based or need-based financial aid rather. You will select yes there. All right. You're not going to be putting in your financial aid information on the Common App. That's a completely separate application that will be done on a different platform. So as I said before, your admission application and your financial aid application are two separate things. Okay. Yeah. So remember that we have the essay workshop on the 4th of September. I would like to start that at 3 p.m. because it is quite an involved workshop, and I think it will be of benefit. So just to be mindful of that, it will be at 3 p.m. on the 4th of September. We have quite a number of universities that will be visiting us over the course of September and October, so just to be mindful of that. Of course, some big ones. So Stanford, Cornell, and Columbia will be coming out as a group. They will be doing an open session on the 7th of September in the evening at Crawford. And I'm working with them to see if they can do something over the weekend with us here at the consulate. They've had to change their dates a bit. I was hoping to have them on the 13th, but that's changed a bit. So the 9th of September, maybe we can do, I'll get permission to open the consulate to do something there. With regards to me wanting to do an SAT mock test on the 1st of September, I really only got one response to that. If that is still something you guys want to do, I need to know by the end of this week if that's going to happen, because that will take place the following weekend. So if that is something you guys do want to do, please WhatsApp me and let me know, because I only had one response from Hannah. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to leave it at that. I don't see any other questions coming through. Thanks for joining me and being so flexible with me today regarding the eye infection. I definitely don't want you guys to be exposed to that. And we will chat soon. Any questions, let me know. But I do think the Common App workshop maybe works well on a Google Hangout, because we can actually go through each of the pages of the site. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys. Have a great evening. Good luck for exams for those who are writing exams. I'm thinking of you all. And chat soon. Signing off. Bye-bye.